Om lokaha samastaha suki no bhavantu. May all beings be happy and peaceful. Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Phoenix here. Welcome to my channel. I was listening to Grant Cardone today, and he was talking about how if you don't make $400,000 a year, that you should be ashamed of yourself. Now, of course, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt that he didn't mean that 100%, but that's sort of the attitude that a lot of people have in our society. And it's like you're either super wealthy and elite status or you're trash, and there's nothing really in between. And growing up, for me, my peers and elders and those who had a very strong influence in my life, they didn't really validate me. And I think that that's something that a lot of us go through. And I think the biggest reason for that is because they weren't validated themselves. They weren't celebrated. They weren't praised. Their parents or teachers or whoever never said, "Hey, I'm proud of you." And it set an imprint in them. And I think a lot of people are just really unhappy and miserable within themselves, and they don't have the courage to lift others up because they feel so down within themselves. And I think especially for those of us that are more on the empathic side of the spectrum, that we tend to take it a little bit more personal. I know that I did when I was younger, but then I came to realize that most people are just really unhappy, and that validation needs to come from within. But unfortunately, what I think a lot of us do is we internalize that, and then we take that to mean that we need to be super successful. And if we're not successful by this impossible standard that we've set for ourselves, then we shouldn't be happy. And one example of this, just last month, I increased my trading funds by 31%, which is pretty phenomenal by any standard, really, especially in this market that we've been in. And yet I didn't feel like celebrating it. I wasn't super thrilled about it. And I just thought, I could do better. And this month I'm only down 3%, but it feels way worse to me. And I get down on myself much easier, I notice. And I think part of that is because I've been really working hard and creating a lot of content and creating a lot of courses and working harder than I ever have, and not seeing the physical results of that just yet. That's not to say that it won't be there. And I tend to internalize that, the external situation, those results that I'm seeing, and I'm focused on that. And it's taking away from all the other beautiful aspects of my life. The fact that my health is getting better and better. I'm getting stronger. I'm doing more in a day than I've done in many decades. All of these positive elements, and we tend to focus on the negative because we already feel bad within ourselves, because maybe we feel unhappy because we're not being validated by the people who we think at least should be doing that for us. But ultimately, the responsibility comes back to ourselves. And I've been practicing each and every day, talking myself up, getting in front of the mirror and saying, "Hey, good job. I'm proud of you. You're doing great. You've got this." A lot of what we do, we accomplish on a daily basis, we don't give ourselves credit for. And it sounds cliche, but it's absolutely 100% true. Just the fact that I'm able to hold down a household single-handedly, that I'm able to pay all the bills, that I'm able to cook all the meals, that I'm able to show up for my children with a smile on my face, that I'm able to walk my dog and get through my meditations and all these things, on and on and on. That's really positive. And who cares if I stumble over my words in a video? Because it's not all that important. But when we're not feeling good and positive within ourselves, because we're subconsciously seeking that validation. And of course, we know that attention is a currency, and the attention is what gives us sort of social status, and it enables us to reproduce. It enables us to be successful and have an easier life. It helps us with networking and so many other things. And so, yes, it's important, but it's not everything. And I think that this naturally comes about when we're authentic, that we start to connect with the right people and positive things happen. But what I've noticed is that my entire frame changes, the way I carry myself, the way I talk. And I notice this much more readily because I've actually forced myself, in a good way, of course, but I've forced myself to be on camera and to share these things with an audience that I don't even know, and some of whom might criticize me and make rude comments that because there's no accountability for doing so. And in the process of doing that, I become much more aware as I watch these videos. When I'm going through and processing them, I notice, oh, my frame changed, my voice changed, the way I express myself changed at this moment in this video because I was talking about this. And that's a trigger for me internally. So it's like this process of awakening that we're all going through. And it's really helpful if your vocation or your chosen path is helping you to become more aware of those inner tendencies that are really keeping you from true success. Because true success is not what Grant Cardone says it is. It's not what Andrew Tate says it is. It's not what Elon Musk says it is. It's what you decide it is. It's feeling a sense of, for me, I can say, it's feeling gratitude, feeling the grace of the divine flowing through me. It's feeling like I've given my all and that I'm just a little bit better than I was yesterday. And they always say, compare yourself today to yesterday and don't worry about anything else. And I think that's really, really wise, a really good approach. And of course, you're not always going to feel like you're better today than you were yesterday. But I think if you really look at that closely and you're making an earnest effort, then 99 out of 100 days, you're going to feel like, yes, today I showed up a little bit more. I did a little bit better. I was able to accomplish this. And at the end of the day, when you go and you assess the day, I think it's really helpful to journal for even just 5-10 minutes and just write out, this is what I did today. This is what I accomplished today. And that's another form of, hey, I'm expressing pride for what I've done. I'm acknowledging myself even if or when nobody else is willing to acknowledge me. Because otherwise what happens is we start to self-sabotage ourselves. We start to focus on what other people didn't say or didn't do in response to us. We start to focus on the validation that we didn't receive, that we are wanting to receive. And that creates a sort of, it's like a resistance in a way, because you're wanting it. You're really wanting it so much so, and it's not there. And that creates frustration, and that creates negative emotion. And then that's internalized within us. And this is a process that really affects you no matter what you're doing. So as a trader, for me, when I notice that, hey, I made some really good trades and the community's not even acknowledging it and nobody's saying, hey, thank you, I profited from this. It's not their job to do that, first of all. And second of all, that's not what's important. What's important is that I made good trades. And on top of that, the fact that I even shared those trades and that others were able to benefit, because that's really why I was doing this in the first place. It wasn't to receive the recognition. So I think that it's a really humbling experience, and maybe one day there will be all of that recognition and honor, and it comes in public. But they say that you're rewarded in public for what you do in private. And again, I just really resonate with that, especially lately, because I've been putting out these videos on a daily basis now. And, you know, it's a lot of work and it's a lot of mental capacity, but I'm capable of doing it. And these are my gifts, and this is what I came here to share. And this is my process, and for better or worse, and everybody's going to have their own process, but showing up no matter what, not having a plan B and deciding, hey, I'm going to make slow, steady progress. I'm not just going to knock this out. I'm not going to maybe have the approach of someone like Andrew Tate. I'm not going to be, super aggressive about it, but I'm still going to be equally successful. And whether he decides it to be that way or somebody else or not, that doesn't really matter to me, because I know that it's between me and the divine. And ultimately it's how I feel inside myself. That's what's most important. As long as I remember these truths, then I'm okay. But when I don't, I notice what happens when I have a really good month trading. the next month I usually experience a significant drawdown. And I don't usually give all of it back, but I'll give a decent chunk of it back. I'll take some losses. And I think that has to do with self-worth and feeling like, hey, I did this well and I still don't feel like 100%. I'm not thrilled about it. So now maybe I should just give some of that back. So the self-worth comes in because of the self-sabotage, because you're seeking the external validation. And it all comes back to just drawing the power and drawing the focus back inward and not worrying or caring about what anybody else says or does. And that's a continuous practice. I've been doing this my entire life and I will continue to do so. And I thank you for showing up and sharing your presence and maybe sharing your voice and your experiences with me. And that's all part of the journey, part of the process. And if it helps you, there's a reflection in there that helps you to grow on the path, then I've served my purpose. So have a beautiful rest of your day. I will see you in the next video.